I am so honored and excited to have you on the Unicorn Spotlight series on YouTube. Thank you so, so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is a
Yeah.
pleasure.
So let's dive right in. Why did you decide grant writing? Of all the things in the world, how did you land in this corner?
Kind of fell upon me a little bit. I was putting away props after a school play, and the drama teacher with another parent, they were talking about how many candy bars they had to sell the next year.
Yeah.
And I was like, candy bars, you need to write grants. And and they're like, do you know a grant writer? And I looked around like, doesn't everybody write grants? So I quickly went home and did a little bit of a Google search, and I was like, oh, this is like a legit job that I already had somewhat of a skill set from working within the federal government. I had a good base. And the rest is kind of history now. Now I'm here and doing it and loving it, and you guys had an enormous role in it.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. Okay. It is so true that every once in a while you'll just stumble into something, you ask a question, and this whole world pops open. And I love those micro moments because I'm sure they've happened for other things in your life too. And we can look
Of
back and be
course.
like, wow, that one, like that parent selling a candy bar led to this. Like, how?
Exactly. Yeah, you have to be open for those moments, right? Follow the
Exactly.
breadcrumbs.
Yes, yes. So let's talk about what success meant to you when you first joined. One of the things that I absolutely love that you have said is that you really aligned your work goals to your financial goals. And when that happened, everything fit better. So I kind of want to talk about what did success look like for you when you first joined, and then maybe how that's evolved since.
Okay, it's such a winding road, Alex. It's really hard to synthesize it into neat steps because it has not been neat steps at all. It's been a bumpy road. Um, but what ended up happening at some point is that I was feeling this immense pressure to build and build and build and grow and grow and grow and strive for really big numbers.
Yeah.
And I had to take a step back because I have a full time job as the mother of three kids, and that's a huge priority at this time in my life that requires an enormous amount of time and energy. So I had to really look at what I was trying to build for my family and the amount of time that I had, and then align that to my financial goals. Like those two things had to be for me, not for these aspiring um, goals that I might not be ready for. So I'm taking it 1 year at a time, sometimes a few months at a time. And that's what I meant by aligning a realistic goal for myself and those two things: the time that I have available, the financial needs, and making those goals, feasible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you speak to one, I just love the reflection and the intentionality in that because we can get so overwhelmed with others' expectations. And what does that look like? One of the greatest things that even Sunday, my yoga teacher said in yin yoga, we were just like laying on the floor. She was like, the only person you're in competition with is yourself. All you have to do is be better than who you were yesterday. And if we're growing in that direction, like boundless abundance is coming.
Yeah.
And so I just love that you reacquainted yourself with like, no, 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 no. What does it look like for my own journey? What does that look like with all of my context? It's really beautiful. And I don't think a lot of women give themselves permission to actually engage in that exercise.
Thank you, Alex. It's constant. It's like an everyday, practice. It really is.
Yeah. Is there something you do to bring that intentionality? Like, is there something um I don't know, even micro in your day that allows you to remember all of the different priorities and work priorities that you have?
Yes, there's a lot of practices in my life, but it is, I have I painted a whale in my kitchen with chalkboard paint, and every day, I put something on there that inspires me that day, and refocuses me. And right on there this week or for the past 2 days is I measure success in connection and warmth.
Oh my gosh.
Because that measure of success, that constant pressure that so many of us feel to define success in monetary terms and possessions doesn't resonate with me, but it's what we're bombarded with constantly. And I succeed so much every single day with things that I can't put on my resume, right?
Yep.
So it's just checking in with myself and looking around for the validation that I get every single day in the littlest of ways and trying to let those things in.
I got chills, one, as soon as you said whales, because I love whales. And then two, um, because not only are you doing this for yourself, but like I'm just imagining your family also seeing this and your kids being like, "Oh, what inspired me today?" Or like the impact is giant from that one routine.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, they've gotten to an age. I have a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a almost 5-year-old. And the two oldest have gone to a point where they like poke fun and make fun of me and call me out on my practices and my like. Actually, one of them was in here a little while ago, and she like did some affirmations for me. She's like, "Mom," and it's half jokingly, half not. But I know it's sinking in on some level.
100%. And they'll come back around. Like 25, 30, they'll be like, "Thank you, Mom. You set me up for so much success."
Oh, that's what I'm banking on.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. So, um, I want to give a really specific example, and I know you included this, and it kind of loops back to the financial goals fitting into your week. So, you wanted to earn 20K in your first year as a grant writer, and so then you backed into it and said, it's not necessary for me to send 5 informational requests a day. So, you set more realistic goals. And I just wanted to add that example because it is so true. When we actually have the roadmap of where we want to go, we can back into the actions that we have to take. Are there consistent actions that you take every week then to get you to that 20K goal?
So I don't have it all figured out, Alex, and I always go back. I'm not a sailor, but I spent a lot of time on the water, and I've sailed a little bit, right? And if you've been on the water, even in a canoe, you know that there's constant adjustments, right? And there's things out of your control like wind and tides and current. And then sometimes I'm just sitting there and there's no wind blowing, and I'm like, how am I going to get to where I'm going, right? And then I'm tightening this sail and releasing the other one. So it's a constant evolution, and I can't say that I know that I send 8 requests a month, because I've tried different things, and when they don't work, I switch it up. And right now, what I'm doing is I've realized that in some things I may be a little bit old school, like sending wordy emails may not be what people resonate with anymore. But I've been told that I'm very personable and warm, and I do well in one-on-one conversations where I can really connect with people and bring out, what they need and connect with those needs. So I'm making a point to go out to a community event, something that I'm passionate about, once a month.
Oh, I love
Next,
that.
at the end of this month, there's going to be a meeting for a potential homeless shelter that's not far from my neighborhood, and it's very controversial. it's something that I want to be involved in. I want to know more about, and I want to ask the right questions as a resident of the area that understands the role that these shelters play. So it's that organic networking that you all swear by, right? Because it's something I'm passionate about, something that I'm concerned about, and then if something flourishes from there, it flourishes from a natural, organic place. So I don't have it all figured it out yet, but you know, so but you know, one of the things that I've really learned through this process is to allow myself to make mistakes and be playful with it, and that's one of the many gifts that you all have given me.
Wow. Oh, I love that so much. So I mean, obviously your journey has not been linear and you've talked about the bumps in the road and some of the challenges, yet you have come through them with a lot of ease and you're just so incredibly peaceful. Um, what helps you in that journey? What helps you pick yourself back up after the bumps? Because the bumps are for sure there.
That's a great question. Um, you know, you mentioned my children, you know, and I want them to know that it's possible to go after your dreams, and that in the end it may not be exactly how you imagined them to be, but you can go purposely and, you know, softly in that direction. So they're a huge motivator, and I do a lot of like body centered stuff, and there's just things that sit right with me, and things that don't. And whenever I get a feeling where I feel like I'm settling for something, that's one of the feelings that I I can't be with. I can't settle for something, and I did for a long time because I didn't know that something else was possible. So that feeling keeps me going, where it's like, no, there has to be another way. There has to be a better way. This can't be it. And my children, and then the gifts that I have when I go into the fears and the insecurities and the breakthroughs that I have, their gifts, and I'm like, oh cool, let's do that again, you know, like I know that those are doorways, and as hard as it is to go through them, I know that on the other side I will be stronger and wiser. So I kind of like going into those matches, you know.
I love it. Yes, I've never seen, like, I love the imagery of the fear as the doorway, right? Like, literally seeing kind of the monster in the door, but then walking through the doorway and realizing the monster wasn't there, right? Like,
Oh,
it's beautiful. I love that.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so talk to me about what has been one of the most rewarding aspects of this journey. What are you most proud of?
I have to say, Alex, that what I'm most proud of is that I've been able to not sacrifice my wellness and not sacrifice the quality of life that I want to
Wow.
give my children, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I pursued this, and that's such a win.
Yes, and one of the biggest wins of all, I would argue. It just is, it changes the way we can engage in every aspect of our life when
Mm,
we actually have wellness. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Okay, you talk a lot about money mindset, and I am currently like halfway through The Financial Feminist, and I'm re-inspired to kind of take uh, that financial literacy equals freedom. I think sometimes we can get bogged down with like, okay, I just don't want to look at the finances because if I look, then they'll be scary and I don't want to even look at it. So then when we don't look at it, we are kind of like in handcuffs, right? Of the guilt or the shame or whatever feeling that comes with it. And so one of the things that I've loved that you've talked about is you've said that you've grabbed your family's finances by the horn and you've seen a huge transformation from that. What, I mean, freedom is a word that comes to mind for me, but what about that experience has been really empowering for you? Like what has come from grabbing your family's finances by the horns?
It's identifying the deficit
Mm-hmm.
instead of having this nebulous, um, monster, right? This thing that doesn't have a shape and it's abstract and it's scary, and you don't want to go into it. You don't want to go in that direction. So when I left my previous career, I cut my family's household income in half, and we had to tighten up like everywhere.
Yep, yep.
And there were sacrifices, and we're still making sacrifices. Um, but to just say like, oh, I have to make money, but I don't know exactly how much that is, and we don't have enough, but I don't know, what the deficit looks like, is crippling. It triggers so many insecurities and scarcity, baggage. And so, as scary as it is, because it's not like I'm like, let's do this, this is fun. No, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's get literally a budget spreadsheet. And I have a good friend of mine that kind of coached me through all this. She's amazing, and the first thing that she'll ask, I'll see her talking to other people, the first thing that she asks is like, so how much do you spend a month in groceries, right? And that's like her go-to. And years ago, I really didn't know. I know that I went, and it was like, oh, 100, 200, ping, ping,
Costco, really big rice? No, just kidding.
right, right, right. It's like, oh, the big box stores, like, ooh, $350. I didn't know toilet paper cost that much, right? And then, so it was really seeing the line items of our household budget, um, estimating costs. I mean, it was like what we do, right, in grants for our household, and then identifying that deficit and then going after it. And sounds really simple, but it's challenging, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate your vulnerability and helping us all. I think it is this, it can be scary. And I think specifically for women, it can feel like we don't have the terms or the language. And I hope that we are um, getting better at that. I hope that we're realizing that women not understanding finances is not to the benefit of anyone. Um,
No, and talking about these things is one of these, all these things that we don't talk about, that is taboo. It's not polite to talk about money. Well, I make it a point to tell people, like, I'm aiming to make twice as much money as I made in my previous career hourly, like, and just putting it out there. These are things that we need to talk about so people don't go into massive credit card debt, or, out
yeah.
tangent.
No, I love it. Thank you so much. I think you are an example of so much, but this is, uh, I know that the unicorns within the collective and outside of the collective are really going to resonate with that messaging. So I want to talk about, I want to get into like my quick fire questions. So what is one word to describe your dream lifestyle?
Balanced.
What is your next vacation spot or
Dream,
dream vacation spot?
dream or realistic?
Let's do dream.
Alaska.
Okay, well, we'll make that one happen. Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Excellent. What are you reading right now?
I am reading Becoming, Michelle Obama's Becoming. I'm ashamed to say that I hadn't read it until now, but it came at you know how books just fall in your lap exactly at the right moment, and it just, magic.
Magic. In a magic coincidence, if there are coincidences in this world, I literally have just finished chapter one. So it's, yeah, like it's my nighttime reading book right now. I love it. It's beautiful. Her last TV show you binged.
Cobra Kai was my teenager.
Perfect. And what is your superpower?
For better or for worse, X-ray vision,
I love
but right through everything and straight to your heart center.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a heavy load.
it is. Yep. I'm sure the grocery stores are a little overwhelming.
Yes, It's like a battleground. How did you know that? I feel so validated and seen.
I have a really good friend who works in the schools who also sees right through and sometimes sees others, and um, and she works in the school, and the school is really difficult. So I imagine that the grocery store is the same. Yeah.
Funny.
Okay, well, you and I will talk more about that offline. I last question, because I just love your analogies, because I pulled another one that you talk about, is that your life is like a suitcase, and when it's bursting at the seam, you take everything out and put only the things that serve you back in. So, my question for you is, for someone else's suitcase that's bursting full at the seams right now, what is their first step in taking everything out? How do they even begin to take everything out of the suitcase?
So you touched on expectations,
Hmm.
and that's a big one for me. Pulling out those expectations that we have for ourselves. And one of the exercises that I used to do regularly when I worked full time and mommied full time um, was like writing down all the expectations I had for myself in a day. And I would literally like laugh at myself after I wrote them all down. I was like, they were so ridiculous. I would write things like, I expect myself to be cheery all day long. And these are things that are actually in the forefront of my mind. But once I pulled them out, I was like, really? I expect that of myself? So, those expectations, managing expectations are a really great place to start. Visiting your values, because sometimes there's values that we had that I'll speak for myself, that I'm still working toward. And then I look and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't my value. This is an old value that I don't need to put energy into, because my life has changed. I've grown away from it. So expectations, reassessing values, and then I think clutter, right? Like, just like in a house, there's things that may be cluttering our lives that aren't serving us. They're distractions, or they're old relationships that may not be what they used to be, that we may need to also um, clear from our lives. So things like that is maybe some things that we can look at in our lives.
Absolutely. I love the list of expectations. The exercise my therapist has me doing is to pay attention to the rules I create for myself, and to ask myself who created that rule. Because most of the time, I've created the very silly rule that I'm following for no good reason, right? And I think it goes along with that expectation. The rule that I need to provide X for all the things at all the times, right? I love that. I love the visualization of writing down all the expectations and then getting to laugh at how silly our rules or
That was the
expectations
best
are.
part. It's like, what? There's 24 hours in a day. One day. Yeah, yeah, and the strictness of our rules, right? Like, I must cook clean meal for my family every single day of the week and month. Like, no, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. They can make omelets for themselves. It's gonna be
Exactly.
okay.
Yes.
But yeah,
Oh, I so agree. Oh my goodness. Well, I am just so humbled and overjoyed that you are a member of the collective, and that you've helped share a little tiny bit of your story today. I'm just so thankful. So thank you.
thank you, Alex. Thank you for this. This is really fun.
Ah, I agree. Awesome. Well, we will see you on the inside of the collective.
So.